In the spring of 1921, on the northern edge of Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a place unlike any other in America. It was called Greenwood. To many, it was simply Black Wall Street. The streets were lined with brick buildings, the air filled with the scent of fresh bread from black-owned bakeries, the clinking of glasses in black-owned cafes, and the proud laughter of a community that had built something remarkable against all odds. Greenwood wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a symbol. While much of America enforced Jim Crow segregation laws, Greenwood thrived as a self-contained black economic powerhouse. It had its own doctors, lawyers, schools, churches, movie theaters, and newspapers. Residents owned fine homes, some with grand pianos in the parlor. They drove new automobiles, wore the latest fashions, and sent their children to college. Outsiders, Greenwood's success was baffling, even threatening. In a time when white supremacy was not only a social norm but often a matter of law, here was a black community proving that prosperity, education, and culture were not the exclusive domain of white America. Tulsa in 1921 was a city divided, both by railroad tracks and by racial tension. South of the tracks lay white Tulsa. North of the tracks, Greenwood stood proud, but that pride existed under constant pressure. Racist laws and customs kept black residents from shopping in white stores or using public facilities. The Ku Klux Klan was gaining power in Oklahoma, its members often unmasked in the streets. And yet, Greenwood flourished. Families gathered at the Dreamland Theater for Saturday night films. Children skipped along sidewalks to Booker T. Washington High School. Men and women dressed in their Sunday best for church. In every smile, there was an unspoken message. We built this. We earned this. But prosperity has a way of attracting resentment. In the white business district, whispers turned into mutterings. In newspaper editorials, subtle jabs turned into outright hostility. And in taverns late at night, those mutterings grew into dangerous fantasies. It would only take one spark, one small incident, to set it all ablaze. That spark came on the morning of May 30th, 1921. Dick Rowland was a 19-year-old black shoe shiner. He was known around Greenwood as a polite young man, always quick with a yes sir or thank you. On that morning, Rowland stepped into the Drexel building in downtown Tulsa. The Drexel was an all-white building, but Rowland was allowed inside because the top floor had a segregated restroom for black workers. The elevator operator that day was Sarah Page, a 17-year-old white girl. No one knows exactly what happened when the elevator doors closed. Some say Rowland tripped and accidentally grabbed Page's arm. Others say the elevator jolted Dee and she screamed out of surprise. But in the racial climate of 1921, a scream from a white girl, no matter the cause, was enough to put a young black man's life in danger. A clerk in a nearby store heard the scream and rushed to see what was wrong. Page told him she was fine, but the clerk called the police anyway, claiming Rowland had assaulted her. Rowland fled the building, knowing that in Oklahoma, a black man accused of harming a white woman was rarely given a chance to explain. The next day, the Tulsa Tribune, one of the city's white-owned newspapers, ran a headline, "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in Elevator." In its now-lost editorial section, witnesses later testified, the paper may have printed something even more dangerous, a call to lynch the young man. By late afternoon, Rowland had been arrested and taken to the county courthouse. Sheriff Willard McCullough, aware of the growing mob outside, moved Rowland to the top floor and stationed armed deputies on the roof. But rumors were already spreading through Tulsa. In Greenwood, word traveled fast. A mob was gathering to kill Rowland. Veterans of World War I, many of them still proud of their service and unwilling to see another young black man lynched, decided to act. Around 25 armed black men drove to the courthouse that night to offer their help protecting Roland. The sheriff declined, insisting he had the situation under control. They returned to Greenwood, but as the mob swelled to hundreds, they came back this time with more men. It was about 10 p.m. when a white man tried to take a black veteran's gun. A shot rang out. And in that instant, the spark ignited. The first exchange of gunfire sent the crowd into chaos. The armed black men retreated toward Greenwood, pursued by enraged white mobs. What followed was not a spontaneous riot. It was a coordinated assault. White Tulsans began looting gun stores and hardware shops. Others broke into pawn shops, arming themselves with rifles, shotguns, and pistols. City officials deputized hundreds of white men, some of them openly wearing Ku Klux Klan insignia. These deputies were given weapons and told to get a gun. By dawn on June 1st, Greenwood was under siege. White mobs stormed into the district, setting fire to homes and businesses. Witnesses reported seeing white men with torches moving, systematically from building to building. But the most shocking assault came from above. Airplanes, likely private planes from a nearby airfield, flew over Greenwood, dropping incendiary devices and shooting at black residents from the sky. Survivors later described the sound of engines overhead, followed by explosions that sent walls and roofs collapsing. The Dreamland Theater burned. Doctors' offices, pharmacies, cafes, and grocery stores all went up in flames. Families fled into the countryside or hid in basements, listening to the roar of fire and the crack of gunshots. By mid-morning, the National Guard had arrived, not to arrest the white mobs, but to detain the black survivors. Thousands of black residents were marched at gunpoint to makeshift detention camps. Greenwood lay in ruins. When the fires died down, the scale of the destruction was almost impossible to comprehend. 35 square blocks of Greenwood had been reduced to ash. Over 1,200 homes were destroyed. Dozens of businesses were gone forever. The official death toll was recorded at 36, but historians now believe the true number may have been closer to 300. Many bodies were buried in mass graves, their locations kept secret for decades. Insurance companies refused to pay claims, citing riot clauses. No white person was ever charged with a crime for the massacre. Instead, it was the black community that was blamed in official reports, and, yet, Greenwood's spirit was not completely extinguished. Survivors rebuilt brick by brick, though the district would never again match its former glory. For decades, the massacre was omitted from history books. In Tulsa schools, it wasn't taught at all. Generations grew up never knowing that one of the worst acts of racial violence in American history had taken place in their own city. Only in recent years has the truth begun to emerge, with survivors telling their stories and historians uncovering the long-suppressed evidence. Imagine looking up and seeing an airplane circling above your home. At first you think it's strange but harmless. Then you see the flash of something falling, and moments later, fire erupts on your roof. This wasn't a war zone overseas. This was Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1921. The Greenwood district wasn't destroyed by chance. It was targeted because it was proof that black prosperity could thrive, even in the face of segregation. The Tulsa Race Massacre is more than history. It's a reminder of how quickly lies, fear, and hate can destroy lives, and how easily the truth can be buried if we're not willing to face it. If this story moved you, don't let it be forgotten. Subscribe to Justice Tales, hit the like button, and tell us, what city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Your story might be next.